Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Street Hands podcast. It's your boy, Adeboy. And today, joining me will be a regular face on the podcast, Hafeez Odunuga. Today, we'll be talking about more of an international issue that has been on the news recently. And as you know, we're always trying to bring you gist from the streets, but at the same time, we also want to talk about current issues that one way or the other affect us, even if we feel like it doesn't affect us directly. It affects policies, it affects things that directly and indirectly affect us. And in this case today, we'll be talking about the crisis in Niger Republic. And even though that will be our departure point, we're also going to be looking at that topic vis-a-vis all the other issues that we're facing post-election with the question of legitimacy and so on. So let's jump in quickly. Hafeez, on the news
Yeah.
right now, people are talking about the situation in Niger Republic, the military coup. And it's almost as if in the same vein as Tinubu is facing a lot of issues from the beginning of his administration. Like he got in there and day one, he announced that the previous administration did not make a reservation for subsidy. So it's from day one, he started dealing with that. He started dealing with the issue of the marketers, even though they still had subsidy coverage till the end of June, they removed it. All those crises were there. He had and then all the other issues he inherited from the past administration, he still has to deal with it. He has to submit his cabinet list. He has to do everything the new government has to do, right? And then between that time and now, too, he was elected chairman of ECOWAS. And just before he was even able to settle into that seat, too, the issue of coup breaks out in Niger Republic. And automatically it becomes his personal business, if I say official duty, to see to the reinstatement of democratic rule in that part of the world. So Hafeez, tell us what exactly is going on in Niger Republic.
Well, the coup has occurred again. We've been labeled, or let me say, West Africa has been labeled the coup belt. So this shouldn't be very surprising to us because just 2 years ago, or about 2020 years, there was a coup attempt in Niger, but it was not successful. So for this present one, it is funny enough, it is the presidential guard. It is just like, should we say, our own DSS or our own well, I don't know, let me put it in that perspective, but at least those who
Responsible for protecting the government,
responsible, the coup plotters, yes, they are the ones that are close to the president. It's not just any major in any barracks. Or so we've seen that it's about a week now. That's 5 days plus. So the whole world eyes are on the plotters. I think if I could remember his name, Abdul Rahman Chini or something. The whole world are putting their eyes on them and trying to see if democracy would prevail. But the thing what I'm surprised, or why this is catching my fancy, is that why is the whole world now so very much interested in Niger? Because coup happened in Guinea in 2021, in Mali, in Sudan. I think 2 happened in Burkina Faso in a year, just in recent time. There's no spotlight on this, but in Niger, the spotlight and the attention has been so much. So
for me, I think when one thing that even surprises me is, apart from the international spotlight on the coup, one of the things that we don't usually see, that we see in this case, is the sort of legitimacy that the people are according to the military to the military that took over, or the coup plotters? Because according to the news, on the streets, there are people actually jubilating and happy that the military took over. There are people that are actually going after politicians and looting their properties.
Good. Oh,
And
very,
then
very good. Very interesting.
you now
And that's
wonder
why.
that why are people, when it should be the opposite, why are people celebrating the removal of democracy in their country and the
If we,
coming in of coup plotters?
yes, I would attribute it to two causes. One, the feeling of oppression. The social contracts the people have with the government is secure us and make our standard of living better. Every other thing comes in that. Give us good security and make our standard of living better. If you look at these two issues, you see that Niger is one of the, we've been battling insurgency, terrorism in Nigeria for a while now, and to some extent, to a very large extent, we say we've been on top of the game. But in Niger, the case is not like that. There is the ISIS presence in Niger, different jihadist group, ISWAP, Ansar Islam. I don't know if, but if you go to their border with Burkina Faso, I used to have a friend I used to sell goods to. He's from Burkina Faso. He used to tell me crossing to Burkina Faso from Niger is always very hard. Almost none, like it's not possible for them, because there are a lot of these Hausa guys that come to Nigeria through all this going through Burkina Faso, Niger, from Mali, come down to Burkina Faso, to Niger, to Nigeria. Nigeria is the destination of most of these people. So what am I bringing out here is that security situation in this country is very, 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 very bad. Very bad. So to the extent that
you think the people believe
smuggling
that
of arms and the likes is always everywhere, especially in the border towns and the like. So the people are fed up. Let's put it that way. The people don't have the trust in their government again. The social contract has been breached. That's why you see in just the last election, I think the second term of this their president that was coup. What was that his name again? Bazoum.
Bazoum, yes.
There was an attempt to coup him. It just failed. So it tells you that's why I said earlier that it shouldn't be too surprising for us, because that security situation would bring about this. Then secondly, if you look at the population of the people, they are not very much, 25 million, but they are one of the poorest country that sits on the globe of the earth. They are one of the poorest countries. Their fertility rate is so high, and education, their education index, or whatever they call it, is so low. If you check the general human developmental index for Niger, the education is so low, very, very low. So this tells us that people don't tend to trust this kind of government, and at the end of the day, some stuff like coup, stuff like unrest and the likes is bound to happen. Plus the fact that the people also believe that their governments are the government of their country is a puppet government to the French. That's why you see, I don't know if you know that the French embassy there too is being ransacked.
Yeah.
So so all of this contributes to the fact that people are jubilating that coup plotters, people who are not supposed to be in government are now in government. Okay, let us see how it's going to be. Even if they say the best military government is nothing better or should not be compared to the worst democratic government. But however,
okay, I'm happy you made that point. So when you're talking about the fact that people are celebrating the fact the coming in of military, at least, so do you think it's just the euphoria of a new government? You know, the same excitement that we get when we transition from one democratic government to another. Do you think it's just a euphoria? Because you made the point now that the assumption is that even the worst democratic government would be better than the military government. But then, if you also remember, there was a time in Nigeria where we had Murtala Mohammed, who was widely celebrated as a success, even though he was in the office for only a short period of time. Do you really think that democracy, it has to be democracy before there's development?
Well, you're putting me on the spot, but as my guy, truth be told, I have a cousin, an uncle. I have an uncle who was in Libya during Gaddafi's regime.
I think I know who you're referring to.
Yeah. So, and from the tales he told me, from the experience he had. In fact, he said he felt so bad coming back and not finding his way back there before Libya was before it become a failed state. So he said the standard of living was so good, the government was so in control. Although there will always be opposition in every kind of government.
Yeah.
But he felt, or from his experience, he said Gaddafi's regime was good, and Gaddafi's regime is purely military. Purely military to the extent that the West are
military and totalitarian.
To be totalitarian. Even some are calling him a dictator.
Yeah.
So, but the people then, we now hear what they are saying now. Except we want to deny the truth. We want to deny the obvious. Then it was better than now. And we as Africans knows that part of our problem is the proliferation of arms around the Libya area, and which has even caused, in fact, I will attribute it to what is happening in Niger now. The proliferation of arms and ammunition in Libya, it's affected us here too. So, if you look at Libya's government, in fact, aside Gaddafi, look at Thomas Sankara. Sankara too, even his time was short in was not Burkina Faso, but was better for the people. So the fact that we are having a military government being painted or tainted as the worst kind of government that can ever happen, I think those days are gone. Because at the end of the day, the civilian governments we have, the democratic governments we have, even in Nigeria, don't obey the rule of law as it's supposed to be.
It should be, yeah.
So it is not the case of they are jubilating that a new government is coming in. They want to believe we are enough of what these democratic governments are facing.
The impunity.
Remember I mentioned impunity, oppression are setting. It is no more democracy where you can call people to order, where you can call people to give accounts of whatever they are doing.
Exactly. And the reality of it is, the reason we are comfortable with the idea of democratic government is because we assume that there will be accountability. The idea that we put them there so they are accountable to us. And unfortunately, when it comes to African version of democracy, it is almost like we put them there so that they can dictate to us. Rather than we put them there so that
God
they can
do
God bless for our interest.
So, which brings about the talk of rule of law. These people they don't respect the rule of law. They don't respect it. In fact, the law is made just for the masses, not for the government or the people in government, so to say. So you see this can cause, or this can attribute to why people will be jubilating that, okay, it's even better if you're under a military regime. Let's know we don't have a say. Let's know we don't have. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's a point people can make. Plus the fact that they feel, okay, these governments don't even have a say by themselves. They are under neocolonialism. So what the heck?
Yeah. And if you look at this issue too from the side of foreign interests, one of the major steps that the new leadership, I'll use that word, new leadership, not in a way of confirming any sort of legitimacy to the government. We just have to call it what it is. The new leadership, or the coup plotters, for the sake of being correct, the coup plotters, one of the first things they did was to remove French as the official language, to close all exportation of their natural resources to France and things. And you know, that is often the trend when it comes to the military when they take over. They always want to make policies that will make them look pro people. The only problem is that whether politicians, whether military, the moment Africans get into power, to rip it out of their hand is always a different ballgame.
It's always difficult. It's always difficult. My Paul B has been ruling for about 30 to 40 something years now, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you know how long the Kenyatas ruled in Kenya?
Yes, before. So it is always like that in Africa. I think Nigeria is just one of the countries that has gotten its, or let me say, we are about getting there when it comes to
we've been able to resist that situation for a bit. And now I want us to talk about this issue of ECOWAS, because that's where it now affects us as Nigerians, because we are not just talking about this issue because we want to talk about Niger. So we're talking about within the context of Nigeria's role as a leadership, Nigeria leadership role within ECOWAS. And we're talking about our president now being in the middle of all these things. One of the things that bothered me over the past weekend, that this past weekend and like last week generally, after ECOWAS had their meeting and everything, is the question of legitimacy of our own president's administration. I was on Twitter. I saw a particular journalist raising the question of why should Nigerian president feel the need to come and say something about military rule in Niger when even his own government is still under scrutiny, and there's still questions surrounding how he got into the office. And I feel like, as much as we want to say maybe it is because there's still court case going on, I feel like it is simply disrespect of Nigeria and our government to make such statements, and even the Niger Republic leadership to even question the legitimacy of our president to talk about this or to lead ECOWAS. Because at the end of the day, Nigeria is not the only country where an election is held and the opponents decide to seek redress. Nigeria is not the only country where the loser, where the loser, will go to court. Even America, United States of America, the poster country for democracy, the loser of the last election still felt like he was cheated for some reason or the other. And that has never brought into question Biden's presidency, at least in the international environment. What's your reaction to this?
Okay, first off, I would say in politics, just cancel what they call the spirit of sportsmanship. Nobody wants
no fair play.
So no. We should first cancel what we call, because this is power, and power decides how people live their life. How we should even be lucky in this century we find ourselves, because let's go back to centuries where you have to kill someone. Maybe, in fact, to the extent that you see brothers killing themselves, uncles killing the son of a king, just to become the
next in line
or whatever, next in line. So we are not in that. So we should see power from firstly as something that has to be taken, not through rogue. But if you are going to take power through democracy, then you have to stand tall. You have to be, your feet has to be firm. So these the coup plotters or the journalists or whoever are talking about is Tinubu's legitimacy. I only bring in bias, and it is normal. It is normal. If you want to win an argument, definitely whatever is good or bad from your opponents, you have to bring to the table. That's what you just bring to the table. So, however, in as much as Nigeria's system the INEC, the judges, and he has been sworn into office, then any talk about legitimacy, it has to come after the court has pronounced him unfit or loser,
Yeah.
or what's this word again? The sack his
Or
election.
yeah,
That's
or
when, and
disqualified or whatever.
he refused to leave power. That is when you can now start talking about legitimacy. That's when we can now start talking about it's not the people's choice, or it shouldn't be in government. But in as much as the laws of the land is being followed, then he is seen and he is the legitimate president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That being said, he also, I don't know, maybe it's by vote or appointment, is the chairman of ECOWAS
Yes.
at the moment. Also, Nigeria, maybe
And
it's
also
not
the
the
commander-in-chief of the ECOMOG forces.
ECOWAS forces. Nigeria also is the most populous country in the West Africa region, the biggest market in the West Africa region, the most influential when we talk about the globe now, in other distance of life. Nigeria is the most influential in this West African region. So tell me, how do they feel, or how would you say Nigeria would not have a say, or the
Yeah.
president of that country would not have a say? Let's take it from this perspective. The moment, let's say France, or let's say any foreign interest now decides to upturn this coup by sacking these coup plotters through force, in case there is any kind of
Backlash.
how they no, there's this word these UN people use, but what I'm saying is that if people are displaced,
Okay, internally
Nigeria will be the
displaced
first
people or refugees and
people,
things.
the Nigeria will be the first people to bear the brunt.
Yes.
You know, we are still talking about checking our borders, trying to reopen the borders, trying to make it flexible for Nigerians. Now, if this occur, maybe for example in South
We are
Sudan,
still dealing with the issue of IDPs in places like
in Nigeria
Borno
itself.
State.
So Nigeria will be the first, because these people are not going. They are not going to go to
Chad Republic.
Chad, or say Burkina Faso that is still unstable. There's coup in Burkina Faso already.
And Ghana is
they
too
are
far.
coming to Nigeria. They are coming to Nigeria. So for this reason, Nigeria has to be in the to be in the forefront to settle this situation. So that aside,
there's something
President
that
Tinubu is now the chairman of ECOWAS. So definitely he must be on top of the game. Let's forget about Biden coming to say, okay, they like what he has done, they like the steps he's taking. Given all of these reasons, that's it's just like seeing a landslide coming to your place and say no, it is still far away. Let's definitely, one way or the other, it will get to you when you've seen that the slope is steep.
Even if our president is not the chairman of ECOWAS, I guess based on geographical contiguity, it is our responsibility to ensure that there's stability in that region. But okay, another angle to it that I've also recently seen is there are some quarters that believe that there is international pressure on Nigeria, ECOWAS, to restore democratic rule in Niger by all means, and this is what has influenced the 7-day ultimatum that ECOWAS has given the coup plotters. Basically, why I'm bringing this up is the possibility of economic sanctions have been already put in. They have been examined. There are some sanctions that have been put in place already. The borders have been closed. The no-fly zone has been put in place. And Niger being a landlocked country, they are reliant on those policies, So it's going to really stifle the country. I don't know how the coup plotters intend to or plan to survive. But another part of it is, in a case where they refuse, what is the consequence of military action?
In situation, well, I would say I would say
And
that would not be
I want to look at that.
what
I
we
want
pray
you
for.
to look at that from in terms of how it also affects an average Nigerian too, because that is the most important aspect of this.
Okay, first off, let you know that the rail, that Maradi rail line, the rail line that goes from Maradi to the one where Buhari was getting money to fund.
Fix, yeah.
So it is just because we want all of cargoes going to Niger to come through Nigeria.
Okay.
So we have some we call them inland depots in the north, where all of these goods coming from wherever it's coming from, when it gets in Nigeria, we take them to these inland depots, then straight to that rail, then straight to Niger. That it is what is supposed to be. So now and most of the goods cargoes going to Niger used to go through Benin Republic, and some from Lome Port too. Now that they've been stifled, now that everybody has tightened the hands of these coup plotters, I think the first thing because they must have thought it out that who are going to be our international partners at first? Who are we going to rely on? Where are we going to be getting our support from? This has always been the case because, for example, let's take for example when Abacha was in government, he was taking the money he was losing somewhere.
Yeah,
Whereas
some people actually accepted that money for him.
Accepting that money, whereas Commonwealth placed sanctions on him. I think some other organizations too, international organizations, placed sanctions on him. But see the situation. Look at the reality. People were getting money from him. He was selling the Nigerian crude to some people, and they were buying from him. So definitely, we don't know that game yet, but I'm sure one way or the other, these people have had international
assurances,
alliance and assurances. Yes, that don't worry, we are going to provide you with this. We are going to do this for you. We are going to do that for you. So in the case where Nigeria or ECOWAS is being wanted to be in front of the situation, on top of the situation, through military means, then I think we are going to cause more havoc. That is through military means. If we are going through that route to expel these coup plotters with international force, like that is the ECOWAS force, then it smells that a proxy war, which that's why I say I don't pray for it. Stem. At the end of the day, don't forget that these people are military and they have camp, they have people. Everybody wearing the military uniform would be subjected to say yes sir to follow their orders if they give them. So the moment they give them, definitely they are going to look for international backers.
Yeah. And there are always countries that are always on the other side of the argument, feeling like leave them alone. What's your business with their country?
Thank you. It's just like when ISIS took over some part of Syria, and I think this thing, the oil they were getting, they were selling it to some countries internationally. So in this case too, it's just like the case of South Sudan. Some people are for the RSF. Some people are supporting them. So in this case too, I just don't. I feel just to bring it home, just like you said, how it's going to affect us. If these people are supporting Niger, and they could advance, or let's say they say they want to like even further their interest, then the northern Nigeria is in jeopardy, especially Borno, Sokoto, the places that borders this country. Is in jeopardy. And don't forget that the Chad region has been said to have commercial oil in commercial quantities. So all of this should be put in check too. We should also consider all of this too. So the first means, I think, and that's what President Tinubu has been trying to do, is to have a dialogue
Diplomatic options.
Have a dialogue with these people. They are sent letter through Alimadu Sharif to the president of Chad just to have a meeting. Call these people to order.
President of Chad too has gone to deliver a letter to the Coup leaders. We don't know what the feedback is yet in terms of how they are going to respond. One thing I would like to add is the best outcome for this kind of situation is that there is no military action. There is no war. Hopefully,
that is the best.
Yeah, hopefully the military go back to the barracks and they are able to just hand over. And this is not to say that maybe the democratic rulers were doing the best, but at the end of the day, the kind of outcome, at the end of the day, the people will be the ones to suffer the most.
Yes. But going back to the barracks is one of the best bets for them. However, that country constitution should be reviewed, because how would you rule for 10 years in a democracy? What kind of democracy is that? Because Bazoum's first term in office was since 2010. They had a constitution,
and I think he has just been switching titles, but retaining power one way or the other.
They should do that. And sad for France. France had to take their hands off the matters of these countries.
Yes.
So that there will be peace within this region.
Yeah, because not, at the end of the day, the anger of the people is another thing that the politicians still have to face, even if the military withdraw. But
definitely.
Yeah, but like we said,
if they are going to drop, if they are going to drop through the means we are praying for, through the means we are hoping for, which is through dialogue and through
diplomatic means.
The diplomatic means, then definitely some interest has to be dropped. Some people have to leave the table for peace to reign.
There has to be like a reassessment of the situation, even from the democratic side. And for Nigeria, in this case, our military are already spread thin when it comes to fighting Boko Haram in the north, fighting.
They are overstretched.
I feel like right now is not the best time, even for the economic consequences. On Nigeria, we don't have the resources right now to expend on one proxy war.
Because we just retired a quite number of generals. We are just reforming one of my in my class, in my postgraduate class. One of my colleagues is a military person. He's a major in Nigeria Army. He has been out of Lagos for like almost 2 to 3 weeks now. He couldn't attend lecture, and this is because he said the formation is really rejigging up. They are rejigging the whole architecture of the military. So which means Nigeria cannot afford any form of
war right now.
At all.
It is enough, and there's enough hardship for the people too than for us to use our resources, limited resources.
Our plates are full. Our plates are full already.
Yeah. So what we would say is, as much as from an international relations perspective, Nigeria cannot keep quiet, because keeping quiet, like you said, when the issues boil over and maybe the people become restless and things like that, it's still Nigeria that will feel the brunt of it when they start coming in as refugees or something. But at the same time, if there is war, it's also going to create another situation. This is where we're going to round up today. We're going to make it brief so that we'll also, so that we don't overstretch the issue. I know there are still going to be some other talking points, and this issue, like we know, is still evolving. So a lot of things are still going to come up, but it's just important for us.
I would even say it is in the early stages.
Yeah, very early stages. We don't really know
very early stages yet. So it's good we let our people know that we Nigerians, that this thing has consequences, and we should be interested.
Yeah, keeping quiet. We can't blame the government for interfering, because keeping quiet is dangerous too. And so Nigeria has to take a lead in this situation. All right, Hafeez, thank you for joining me today in this conversation.
It's a pleasure.
We'll look forward to having you on some other time. Thank you, listeners, for joining us on another episode of City Hands Podcast. We're going to draw the curtain on this episode today. And we hope you listen, like, subscribe, and look forward to our next videos. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.